Welcome back to the Entrepreneur Athlete podcast, where we talk to athletes who have turned their athletic passion into a successful business for themselves and, of course, for other people. Today, we're talking to Lindsay Preslepa, who is a gymnast, a cheerleader. Her cheer team ranked second at the World Championships. She's from Canada, and she has, through several cities, eventually ended up in Memphis, where she's the manager of a CrossFit gym, a CrossFit box, if you will. And she owns Lindsay P Gymnastics, where she gives online lessons as well as in-person lessons. So we've had a big, long talk before and off camera, and it's been really great getting to know you, Lindsay. And I'm sure that everybody's really excited because this is different. You're going to be probably my first non-volleyball guest.
Oh, very cool.
Which is amazing, you know, and we get to learn from a whole new world. And I think learning from gym owners, gym managers is hugely important because there's so many people out there who do need a facility to be able to teach their sport. And sometimes we do those like you're doing in combination with a pre-existing business. So I'm really excited to learn about how you rent from your CrossFit owner and how you also work from him, and you're able to own a business inside of the business that you work for. Really cool. So I can't wait to get started. So just give us a little bit of history about first your gymnastics history, then your cheer history, and why you decided to turn all of this into a business.
Sure. So coming from outside Toronto, I grew up doing competitive gymnastics. Once the whole NCAA scholarship Olympic dream kind of fades away and I want to say like washed up, I started competitive cheer, moved to competitive cheer until I was 24, competed at world championships, a bunch of national titles through Canada and through the States. While I was in school, I got transitioned to Vancouver working in my psych career. And then I met my ex-partner and moved to the States and then moved to Memphis. And in 2016, that's when I started doing CrossFit and came back to Toronto for a little bit, decided, you know what, I'm going to start coaching CrossFit for a little bit. And that's when I started doing gymnastics. And my coach was like, you know, you're really good at this. Maybe this is something like you could do on a Saturday, like coach everybody. And through that, I got really good feedback and I'm like, okay, like this is kind of fun. I feel like this isn't a struggle for me. Coaching comes naturally. I was coaching gymnastics and cheerleading, you know, post 14, just the easiest way to start employment. And then really like taking off, he's like, you need to turn this into a business. But, you know, I was just taking a break from my doctorate actually in clinical psych.
Wow.
And being like, wow, it's like,
person.
And I, you know, when I was in Vancouver, I was doing neuropsychological testing for criminal offenders, insurance companies, recidivism testing. But I was always bartending too while I was in school. It was the only way I knew how to really like pay my bills while I was in school. I mean, I'm going to be 35 and this is the third year I haven't been in school since kindergarten.
Whoa. Nonstop learning.
Nonstop learning, definitely. But I always envisioned myself being a forensic psychologist. Therefore, when I went through a divorce in 2018, decided like I need to put a pause on school. I was having a hard time like keeping up, not to mention doing psychology in Canada versus in the States was a really hard change. You know, they don't do a lot of, you know, there's not a lot of resources down here. They don't pay as well. So it was like, I would have to bartend and do a psych job.
Wow. Okay.
And it was like, wow, you really need to, if you're going to live in the States, you really got to figure out if this is something you want to do, if you want to put 4 more years towards your doctorate. So decided to put on a pause, started coaching and then moved back. And my coach, Matt, at the time was like, you really need to go for this. But I was like, gosh, like, I can't imagine owning my own business again. I can't imagine the social media part of it. I just started CrossFit in 2016. Then finally, when I moved back to Memphis, James, who was a coach at an old gym, coaching gymnastics back home, I was wondering if you'd let me host a seminar. You can keep all the funds. Let me prove to you that this is something I can do. You know, and he had just opened this gym. So he was super open to having me. And then that day, the seminar sold out, and he asked me to coach that night at that gym. And I was his first employee there.
Whoa.
Yeah. And then, so he had been doing every class, like every first box owner. I mean, it's like, do I pay for people to take classes or just coach them myself? Right. Like everyone's running on low funds, like you have a low member count.
And there's no way I could find another coach as knowledgeable as me.
Right. And
we all get that feeling, right? Like, I'm the only one in the world who knows how to coach this.
Exactly. Right. And he's, he had broke off from a gym that had supported him to go to regionals, and he was a regional athlete trying to get to the games. Like, he's probably our most well-known athlete in Memphis. Great coach, ex-football player. And so, when I started working there, and he's like, you really need to pursue this. Like, he's like, I don't think you know how good you are. Let me help you get there. From the jump, he's always been like, where are you going?
What an amazing boss.
He is so incredible. He's basically my business coach, right? Like, the number one thing he told me from the jump was, be a traveling band. Like, don't pigeonhole yourself, and do it so that you're not tethered to anybody.
Okay.
And that always stuck with me. And he's like, I want to raise coaches that like have investment and like purpose, and like, they're just not here to coach a class and then leave. You know what I mean? It's like, I want, you to invest in this community, and you're so good at it. And so it really started there. And next thing you know, I kind of have become like the CrossFit gymnastics like specialist in our area. So yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. So bartender, by the way, I bartended through college and through the early stages of my career as well.
Absolutely. It was the only way I was getting bills paid.
100%. And there's something about bartending that's nice, because you get to go out, but you're like, well, I'm kind of not allowed to drink. So
absolutely. I'm still in the social vibes,
in the party, but
I'm making the money.
And I talk to more people at this party than anybody else.
Right.
It's nice, but then of course you have to wake up for practice, and over time that burns you out. That's where I got
to. The lifestyle, like, just, God forbid, going to work at 11 p.m. Like, I can't even stay up till 11 p.m. anymore.
I hear that.
But the bartending taught me a lot of things, and I think that's part of why I'm a good coach too. Just the social
like
skills.
When somebody walks in the door and you know the drink that they order.
Yes.
You know something about this person, this customer, that makes them feel good, and you give it to them right away. Like, as soon as they walk in the door. That was a big thing that we had. And in New York, there's like, I don't know if it's Irish culture or just maybe New York culture, but we were always trained. Like, my first bartender, bar manager, owner, he mandated that if somebody bought 4 rounds from us, the 5th was free. He goes, I love that. We're not here to like make money just to make money. He goes, we're here to build a community, and when people look at you, they should say, I want to buy from him. Right. Because he gave me something. Right. I want to support this business. That'll pay off 3 and 4 times more. And then they'll come back to you because they'll be like, the bartender there loves me.
100%. We were given, you're allowed a 10 drink spillage that you could give to any customer.
Nice.
I thought it was genius because we would have so many repeat offenders.
And there's stuff that, we can learn from that bartender, just from that little, that job there, that ability to have customer service, to bring in some part of that to the people where you have, where I know that I've done it through some volleyball lessons, but we had a couple people who really got into trouble in their lives. Like, they couldn't pay their bills, they're struggling, and job changes or job losses. And I said, look, I want to teach volleyball because it's a hobby that makes you smile, that is fun, and you're here because your life should be good. And for some people, their class, whether it's a CrossFit class or whether it's a volleyball class, that might be the only fun 90 minutes of their day.
100%.
And maybe they get that twice a week. So if you're in trouble, like, I want to help you So I
Absolutely.
always cut breaks for those people who are just struggling in a bind. I'm like, how long do you need for free? Like, what do I do
100%.
to make this happen so that at least this part of your life stays happy? Because
Yeah.
that will help you fix the rest of your life faster once
Yeah.
you're, at least you have some kind of outlet.
Yeah. It's interesting working with the spectrum of athletes because, majority of my athletes are the opposite end of the spectrum where they need to be, let up on the throttle. Like you need to be taking your rest days. You need to be feeding your body. Like their motivation is all there and their dedication and discipline is not in question. And then I have the other side of the spectrum where like people are grinding just to be there. You know what I mean? But they've still decided that it's worth paying the monthly dues because CrossFit's an expensive endeavor. Like, not to mention the monthly gym membership, but all the equipment that comes with it. Like
Yeah.
next thing you know, feel like you need shoes and you need grips and you need a weight belt. And but there are, as much as we have a competitive gym, there are so many other ends of the spectrum where it's like these, parents or people on big weight loss journeys or para athletes.
Cool.
I mean, it's just, I don't just want to be, I'm driven towards like really athletic, elite performers just because that's how I grew up.
Mm-hmm.
But really, at the end of the day, those people, as a business perspective, don't really pay your bills.
That's like nearly 100%, unless you're working
Right.
with the top of the top,
Right.
superior athlete from a superior money sport,
Right.
like Tom Brady's trainer. Like,
right.
That's somebody who you have one or like five people who can pay the bills. And those people, they probably need more attention than a beginner, to be honest, because a beginner needs like quick, easy information and then rep it out for 8 to 16 hours. And your game will be 10 times what it was today. But if you tell somebody to rep out 8 to 10 hours or 8 to 16 hours when they've been in the sport for 10 years, that might move them, 0.2% of improvement.
Right. We're reaching a 5-pound PR in the matter of a year. Like, whereas when you first start, it's like, holy shit, I can do, an 80-pound deadlift PR.
Yeah.
And that would make someone happy, right? Where I feel like it's even harder coaching elite athletes because there's a psychology point of it, like performance and managing stress and more focus on that. I know you can do the to-do list I give you, but how can we be strategic at making you a better athlete?
Yeah.
And that, so I love the, meeting people I've never gotten to meet before. I would never meet before in the city of Memphis, and so many different people come through the doors and, that's the best part about coaching. And my owner, James, he has a nonprofit called Kings of Grit, where he goes into jail facilities and, does CrossFit, not only CrossFit, but it's more like a curriculum of strength and conditioning, just using workout as a vehicle towards, getting more purpose in your life and like having a reason to wake up in the day. And also nutrition, which I find in the prison system is like very lacking. So that's another branch of Deep River too. Like we're attached to that Kings of Grit nonprofit.
It's amazing. That sounds really cool.
Yeah, it's been very interesting, and to know that eventually after COVID that will maybe extend out into a female jail population would be bringing, if I were to get that opportunity, that would be bringing my full career like full circle. How did I start in psychology and then gravitate towards, CrossFit and coaching, and then would amalgamate the two and like end up working in a jail facility or something like that.
It seems like you've got a lot of built-in tools that can let a person like you do whatever you want. Like you're easy to talk with. You're well-educated and enough to get a doctorate if and when you want.
Yeah. Doing it, I don't know, but
you have the courage to start your own thing and to be in front of people, and you're athletic. So
thank you.
Talking to the full show here.
Yeah, right. Thank you.
That's pretty cool. Okay, so your manager, your owner, he basically said you have to start this business. It wasn't necessarily your choice, or you didn't go and do it and say, I got to start. Somebody pushed you along the way and said, you're really good at this. Why don't you X? And I think a lot of kind of business owners do start that way. I know a few of our programs started because somebody said, well, why are you only offering this to out of towners who come into California? Why can't you start classes every day for us? And I was like, oh, I guess I could start that program. People ask you,
right. Give the people what they want.
And I think a lot of people
Yeah.
start that way, where they're really good at something. And then somebody comes along and says, why don't you start a business out of this? Don't you know people would pay you for this?
Right.
And then you spend the next 5 to 10 years to your life figuring out how to make that business successful.
Right. And dealing with imposter syndrome. That's been a big struggle, being like, why are people paying me for this? Because as far as like the knowledge, like I work hard at like maintaining my knowledge, but in application, I find it very easygoing. But like when I work towards coaching weightlifting, I have to work really hard at coaching weightlifting. It doesn't come naturally. Like I would not be able to coach an elite athlete in weightlifting like I would in gymnastics. So that part of it's like takes a lot, but people are like, you need to be doing this. And I'm like, why would someone pay me to do this? I don't know. But it is insane how much people pay for fitness in the city of Memphis. Considering the income dichotomy, like
right.
That's very interesting, because on one side you see like we have severe poverty, and then the other side you see like, wow, the amount people pay is crazy.
Well, people want to take care of themselves, and it's better that they pay a gym. It's better that they pay a sport for gymnastics. And I think one of the advantages of gymnastics is you teach yourself and your athletes how to, for the rest of their life, use their own body to stay in great shape, so that when we're in lockdown, when we're in quarantine, you don't have to give up your passion and be like, well, I don't have weights anymore, so now like my deadlift's going to go to crap. Instead, all of a sudden you become a mobile body weight strength master. And a lot of people find out all of their kind of imbalances and weaknesses when they can't do a handstand. It's like, well, if you can't do a handstand, how are you going to hold 315 above your head for your for your push jerk? Like,
right. So let's address your shoulder mobility.
Yeah.
When we did go into quarantine, the foundations of what gymnastics taught me, and any elite sport or things like football, like all athletes, is like the discipline. Like there will not be a month in my life where I probably won't work out. Like it's just ingrained at this point. And I don't even feel like I have to do it. It's like a part of who I am. Like severe identity shift post competitive sports, which was hard to deal with. But as far as like general maintenance now and just locally competing, right after quarantine, this was a big kick in the pants, because I think people realized how unhealthy our society was, because we were all being correlated to getting coronavirus. I mean, I don't, in my tiny bubble, I mean, all I do is see fit people. But we had an influx of people who you would never see coming through a CrossFit gym. I think it was a big wake up call for people. And not only that, but throughout quarantine, just connecting via social media. I think it was a good, avenue for people to stay at home, but then maybe kickstart their fitness career. But the one thing growing up that I've never learned is like, okay, well, if I don't have access to the gym today, I'm going to go do stairs in my building, or, I'm going to probably spend an hour on mobility today.
Oh yeah.
That discipline never leaves in a way.
Right. You start feeling yourself tighten up, and you start feeling like an odd depression come on. So I don't know if a lot of other people who are listening, and I assume that the people who are going to be listening to this are all kind of athletes still, or ex-athletes, but that weird depression that sets in when you aren't playing your sport, when you aren't competing, especially like after injuries. Because I really want to touch on, I know this is going to be business, but I really want to go back to that identity crisis that you said.
Yeah.
When you leave your sport and you're not competing, anymore how that shift comes, because I know that everybody who has been an elite athlete has been injured at some point.
Yep.
And that like Zoolander, who am I? You know,
Right, exactly.
like that moment
100%.
comes in, like, what would I do? And I remember I had an ab surgery and a shoulder surgery at basically within months of each other. And I was getting pretty deep and dark. And I, like, the most fun that I had was playing lefty ping pong with my dad in the basement. And I was like, thank God he played ping pong with me.
Right.
Because I didn't know what else to do. I didn't know where else to put that energy. And you feel like, yeah, this is your identity. You're the athlete. You're the one who plays the sport. You're the best one in your neighborhood.
Right.
And what do you do without that? And where do you find courage and support? So what was before we move into the whole business part of it, what was that like to you? And do you have any advice for somebody who stops competing or wants to stop competing in order to make their business better or to grow it?
Well, I really don't think you should completely disassociate from your sport, right? So, I grew up in a hockey family. My dad was a competitive hockey player. Like, we were always just in the arena because he liked to play on beer leagues, or as a gymnast, I'm never going to go to a competitive gym anymore, but I like to go to drop in an open gym and just play around. And I'm obviously I'm not able to do everything that I used to be, but it's still kind of cool to be like, hey, you've been departed from the sport for 10 years and you can still do A, B, C, D. And those things are fun. I would say maybe just do, a pivot, or get your friends and family involved. I mean, I have friends that don't even do gymnastics, that we just go like to play around in the gymnastics gym.
Yeah.
Like, have you ever stood on a balance beam? Do you know what it's like?
So my wife was an elite. I forget the numbers. I maybe level 9. Is that crazy?
No, level 9's under level 10, and then after 10 is elite. So yeah.
Okay. So she got to level 9 through high school. She got like a late injury, realized she wasn't going to be able to do it in college. And now she's actually going to be on the show as well, but she worked in corporate her early 20s, and currently she's a stunt woman. So she like couldn't stand that she wasn't using her body in her corporate job. She's like, this isn't fulfilling me, like sitting at a computer and doing marketing. She's talking to people. She enjoyed her bosses, loved them, loved where she was working and the people around. But she's like, this isn't what I was meant to do. Like, something still lived in her from her gymnastics career. And so she just started going to free running gyms and parkour gyms and like just bouncing around a trampoline. And there, because it's LA, she met everybody who is in stunts
connected to Hollywood.
Cirque du Soleil people. And that led her to saying, oh, this is what I want to do. And she like knew it immediately. And she dropped her job, threw down everything to pursue it 100% of the way. And now she's been in like, I don't know, 30, 40, 50 movies. I can't keep track with her anymore, but
I mean, that's so cool. And someone I coach, Antonia, told me about your wife actually. And I was like, that is so badass. Yeah. So a lot of gymnasts I know, we did end up branching off. Maybe, we went into dance, like, but majority of people that I did gym with, we went into cheerleading. And that was a great next step. I mean, it's common now for you to put a 5-year-old in cheerleading, but it wasn't when I was growing up.
Sure.
Cheersport Sharks started their, I don't know, I'll say their corporation, like probably in 2000. And so it's just grown to be this thing where it's like, now it's like MMA now, like you're putting 5-year-olds into MMA or things like that. Nuts. When it used to be like, oh, I was a wrestler, now I'm going to try and do UFC later in life. Like now, like the teen CrossFit Games athletes, like they're starting super young.
Yeah. Bar fights are going to be at another level in 10 years.
Yeah. Exactly.
Like LA, what is it? Los Angeles, Rio. And there's one more city. Like it's like the top worst places to be in a bar fight. because of
Really?
how many MMA
Fighters?
gyms are
Wow.
like within that per capita area. You're like,
That makes sense.
oh, this is the place
Yeah.
where you don't want to like mess with somebody, because they do
Right.
have a significant amount of training.
Yeah, I would not want to be cooped up in a bar with John Jones. Like, no, thank you. Yeah, and then I know a few people actually that got into Cirque du Soleil too.
Cool.
And then coaching was the next
But
kind
Cirque
of, if
doesn't
you did,
pay. Cirque doesn't
no,
pay, and then it's not very entrepreneurial. Like
no,
you just show up and
you're
try
a
out, and you're at the
puppet,
will of somebody else. Yeah,
100%.
but a
Yeah,
lot of stories for sure, I bet.
absolutely.
Okay, so let's kind of dive into the business side now that we know all about your athletic history and your shift to being a business, your almost accidental shift to being a
Yeah,
business owner. Let's just talk about numbers for a second.
sure.
So I know that you do rent your space from your owner. So what's the legal setup of your business? Are you an S corp? Are you an LLC? Do you have a legal setup?
So the goal of 2022 is to LLC.
Cool.
But right now I just do my taxes if I'm an independent contractor. I do everything through our online platform at the gym, which is Wodify. So everything goes to James' backend, and then he pays me monthly.
Okay.
And then for my online programming, that's done via Venmo. So I could never live without Venmo.
Do you have a way to automate that then?
Not right now. Nope.
Okay.
Yep. The goal is to get the business Venmo set up. And then when I have my Canadian clients, they e-transfer because you cannot Venmo internationally. Right. Yeah, but that's basically everything goes through him.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Except for the online stuff. Okay.
Exactly.
So for your portion, because you're in the CrossFit gym and you're running gymnastics classes for adults, for kids.
So I do both. I don't coach any adult gymnastics programs because I simply just don't have the equipment. If I was operating out of a gymnastics facility, I would have equipment to allow adults to play. But when I'm coaching adults, it's specifically geared towards CrossFit skill acquisition.
Okay.
And then I have enough equipment to hold our kids' tumbling foundations. They're just learning the basics of tumbling. But I know I'm not trying to turn them into elite gymnasts. Like, that's not my goal. I can't fight against an elite gymnastic center. But it's a good pocket. I mean, I have about 7 girls who are come and do an hour twice a week, and they're just getting the basics out of it.
And I'll pop in there and I'll say, like, what a great model for so many parents who are disenfranchised with the club sports and how it needs to be a 16-hour-a-week commitment. And, my wife, her mother drove her like 3 hours each way to like a gymnastics facility and then sat in that facility, like losing her life, not doing anything for her, but completely living for her daughters. 100%. And where are the people who grew up like me and the parents who grew up like me, where I was like, I want to play hockey this year. Okay, let's go play hockey. I want to play baseball this year. Are you sure that's during basketball season? Are you going to be tired? I don't care. I'll do them. And each one was 2, maybe 3 days a week. And practice ran into each other. And coach was hurt for a little bit. Like, well, you need to show up for our team. And it's like, well, I got to make a decision.
100%.
But where are those? Because you get well-rounded athletes, right? And you get people who understand how to use their body in all different environments for all different reasons.
Well, I'm sure your wife could attest to this too. Being in gymnastics helps with not just like, wow, yes, I can pull out like a back tuck, but coordination, depth perception. I mean, all like goal setting, discipline, all these things that the foundation of what sports provide. And that's more important than what I want to instill in the girls. Great. Like, it's going to be amazing that they can develop more tumbling skills, but I want to know that, like, we are working towards something. You are supposed to be here from this time to that time. We warm up together. We cheer on our teammates. This is what expected of you. Like, you get hurt, you brush it off, or, you know what I mean? Like, and I don't want to be the gym. Gymnastics has come a long way. I grew up with Soviet Union coaches, primarily from Bulgaria, lived with my coaches, moved to a different city just to train when I went to high school.
That's wild.
Right. And my mom was a taxi driver. And to be honest, my parents were not really like around during that time. So I lived with my coaches and I lived with another gym member's family because
Wow.
they were so invested. And so they, took me under their wing, and I'm appreciative to them till the day I die. But I know I'm not going to be able to compete with them. So I just want to know that like you can come here and this can just be like, a year thing. This doesn't have to be like, you're not committed to trying to make an elite team.
Yeah.
And I want to provide that for the community, because not only that, but it gets parents in the gym. And yeah,
Oh
like
man, I bet your owner has a little bit of foresight there, and he's like, if she brings some kids in, their parents are going to be sitting there waiting, and
100%.
they might as well say, oh, well, I got 45 minutes on my hands. I might as well join a CrossFit class.
Exactly. And we have the classes are at 4:30, and 4:30 is open gym. So
we do that with
So,
with our kids class too. We run an adult class at the same time that we run our tots class, so that we're like, hey, why don't you just come on, it's on the arm for the first time, try it out. And that way, like, if you want to get your fitness in at the same time your kids getting your fitness in, why not? But I think a lot of people take that like that moment to just exhale when their kid is doing something like, I'm 100%. Not in charge of the kid, or at least they should. And like,
I know I actually have parents
for that time.
Yeah. And then I have kids whose parents are crazy competitive, and they go to another gym that I coach at, and they can't be in the gym and not do something. Next thing you know, they're in their business suit, like on the assault bike, or they're in the gym and they can't not do anything. They're in the corner, like in a suit on the assault bike, just on their phone, or foam rolling in the corner, or working on their sit-ups. I don't know.
It's nice when parents, when people provide an opportunity for parents. And I think definitely more clubs could learn from that, to say, hey, you're going to be at your kid's practice. You don't need to be, and you shouldn't be involved right now. So we're going to like build like a little corner room with some bikes and an elliptical or whatever to use this time for you. And maybe even like, a quiet office or something where you don't have to just sit next to the court and hear the nonstop screeching of sneakers or banging of plates.
Right.
Interesting to see if more clubs would develop something like that. And I think parents for sure would be grateful if they could utilize that extra time.
Offering massages at the same time.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah. We also have a PT that operates out of our gym too.
Nice.
Trying to get everything under the same roof.
Okay. So then, all right. So you're haven't even started an LLC in S Corp. So for those of you out there who just think like, oh my God, well, what about the legal things? Here we go. We have a successful business. Haven't set anything up legally. She's basically a sole proprietor and also working as a 1099 for somebody else who does have a legal business. You don't need to start a legal entity just to start a business. What does it do though? It does protect you in case something happens. So long as you consciously separate your finances and you can show that what came into the business was paid to the business and then it went to a personal account, then legally, if somebody decides, nightmare to sue you, then you have some separation where that business might go bankrupt, but it doesn't touch your personal assets. And that's one of the advantages to having a business, but you don't need to start. And this is a unique case. Somebody is allowing you, to run your own business, and they're 1099ing you, which is kind of a nice advantage for them because they're claiming a few more expenses, and like even more expenses than they otherwise would, because they don't have many expenses for your extra class, but now they get to pay you for that full program, and he's saving on taxes, which is a nice setup. So what is your maybe we can separate them if but what do you think your annual or at least your monthly revenue for your in-person and your
Mhm.
online gymnastics training?
I would say on average, I'm making about 4 from my gym, 4K a
Mhm.
month. And then with seminars and probably about $1,500 a month. So
From seminars
yeah, so
in the
on
gym.
in the gym, yep, at a different gym. So I'll travel to a different gym. 10 spots available for 3 slots over the course of 2 days, and that's 35 a person. And then I'll pay the gym 15%. And then online program comes directly for me. So approximately 45-ish from the gym, and then about $1,500 on top of that.
Okay, so the 4,000 comes from your gymnastics, or does that come from a combination of your manager role at the gym plus your gymnastics training?
That comes from, so I technically don't get paid to manage.
Okay.
But I'm coaching CrossFit classes. So I'm coaching about 33 CrossFit classes at $25 a class.
Gotcha.
So that 45 is after James has already taken his 30% actually.
Okay.
So that includes my PT in person and coaching at Deep River.
Okay. And your gymnastics.
Yes.
So it's a bunch of stuff kind of woven in there. Do you know how much just the gymnastics makes? Like how the people who are only paying for gymnastics, how much comes in from that? We're not talking profit, just how much comes in.
It lasts, like this year I made about 46 just
46,
from that.
46,000.
Mm-hmm.
Great. Okay. Great.
Yeah.
And that's way before expenses, way before time. So cool. So you're making minimum wage from your side business, like a little bit better than minimum wage.
Yep.
Pretty decent salary, especially in Memphis, a low cost of living.
Yes.
And
they just came out and said that if you make 87K or above, you're considered rich in the city.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Different than California.
87 would be nice. Yeah.
Yeah, it would. Yeah. Yeah.
And then, okay. And then we'll talk about then your online. So I do want to come back to how you run seminars, how you negotiated your percentages, but how much are you making just through online, and what does it look like for you to train somebody or run something online?
Sure. So I have 2 structures. I do everything through Google Docs. Eventually I will get an online platform like True Coach or Train Heroic, but right now I just find that it's easier because it's not like I'm sending someone like, okay, you have to do 3x6 single leg RDLs. I'm talking about drills that they don't exist on the internet.
Gotcha.
Right. So I usually Google Sheets. There is 85 a month is 2 days of training specific to their goals. And then I do 3 days a week at 125. So right now I have 13 people on my online roster. And then another setup is that if you buy a 10 package in person, you also get 2 days accessory. And then it's a 3-month contract, like minimum.
Okay.
You have to be in for 3 months, or because we need to, do a long-term plan.
Do they pay that up front? The full 3 months?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yep.
I was gonna say that's smart. And out of 10, how many people ask for refunds 2 to 6 weeks in?
They won't ever ask for a refund. I've never had anyone ask for a refund.
Awesome.
Yeah. But they will, it's common for athletes to put their stuff on hold.
Okay.
Like I just had an athlete put 2 weeks program on their hold because they're going to be out of town. So I'll work with athletes like that because, I'm their one-to-one coach. I'm not going to program something if I know, you're going to Disney for a week and we're not going to have access to a gym.
Sure. It does make it harder for you to plan your life and for you to
1000%.
structure and make bigger plans. Do you use any sort of online scheduling software like Calendly or anything to set those things up? No,
I use my phone and a manual calendar.
Okay.
Old school. Yep.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, Calendly has saved me, and it's forced me to batch things where I'm like, all right,
Okay.
when do I actually when do I actually want to do this? Instead of saying like, hey, yeah, I'm available at 10 on Friday. Oh, that's not good for you. Okay. Are you
Right.
available at 11 on Friday? No. And then all of a sudden you're in texts for an hour and a half when I could have
100%.
sent you a link and
Totally.
it shows up on my
Let
calendar
you
and I
decide.
give you a call 15 minutes
Yeah.
before, you know. Um, I
Yeah.
I really like Calendly and it automatically
Okay.
links with Zoom, you know, like because you
Okay.
clicked on Calendly, right?
Yep.
We did it on Facebook Messenger. I said, here's my calendar. Here's when I'm available.
Right.
I hope it works for you. And it
100%.
does. And then you click on it,
Totally.
sends you the event on your calendar, which for me it sends a bunch of alarms into my phone. And then it connects with
Hmm.
Zoom. So I think that might be an opportunity for you to
Absolutely.
free up, but that would come with a time audit where you say, how many hours per month do I spend texting?
Oof. I wish you knew.
Right.
Yeah. It's
And that's an important time audit that I think a lot of people starting out
100%.
need to take and see, how do I shrink that?
I mean, that just loops back to boundaries. And, um, because my owner, James, would tell me that all the time. He's like, you are too nice in times. Like I am people's marriage counselors and sports therapists and, coach and
Yep.
biggest cheerleader. Whenever someone gets PR, they text me. Like, I do like being that person, but yeah, at the end of the day, it does take time from, trying to drive the business.
Yes, and trying to
Yeah.
grow and trying to scale your business,
Yes.
and that's a big deal. So I yeah, I've done some real estate. I actually own a property in Memphis, and
Oh.
I used some private loans to get it because as a small business owner, you
Hmm.
don't have real income. You kind of make up
Right.
your own income, and the banks tell
Right.
you that you can't have it. So I had to get all private loans from friends and family, and I was able to get a nice loan to do a flip.
Hmm.
Except one of the guys who's a big real estate person that I know, and this is unconfirmed, but I'm
Yep.
99% sure. He says, "Oh yeah, I'll talk to Jose, who's got a loan company, and we'll see." His name also started with a J, and
Okay.
he's like, "Yeah, Jose said that'll work, and he'll do this." And like, I never met
Interesting.
Jose,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
he separates himself with just like a little bit of a line so that you
Yeah.
email something, and I started not making a person up, but following suit,
Right.
saying, hey, if you need this, talk to support at Better at Beach and they'll help you. And in the beginning, support at Better at Beach, that email, I was
Was
answering
you.
100% of those emails, but it stopped them from texting my personal phone where I think it might be my
Right.
wife. It might be like my best friend, my mom calling, and then you start
Right.
ignoring your phone because all it is just harassment, basically.
Yes.
So the more
Yeah.
I said, this is a great question to send to support at Better at Beach. And if you make them wait a little bit, sometimes it's on purpose.
Right.
Sometimes it's like, I don't have time to answer 97 text messages right now, so I'm not even going to start answering one. But then
Yeah.
they wait, and you're like, "Hey, I'm sorry for the delay. Next time, if you send an email to Support a Better Beach, I promise you'll get a faster response." Because I literally
Definitely.
do pay attention to my business emails better than I pay attention to my texts, because
Right.
that has to do with like my business growth and maybe my priorities are messed up. Just being able to batch your time and how effective that can be, and seeing if you can have a system where you tell people where they can ask questions so that you can attack it once instead of dividing all of your minutes piece by piece by piece by piece, because then that takes away, as soon as you're in a project and you're thinking about building or maximizing your business, and
Hmm.
then all of a sudden you get a text
Oh yeah.
and that pulls you out. I don't know the
Of a
exact
flow.
times, but yeah, you're in that flow.
Yeah.
And now you
Yep.
can't get back into that state, that focused state that you were in
Absolutely.
for a long time. It's shocking how long it takes you to get back to actual flow of work.
Absolutely. Hmm.
So, I would say what helped me was it's in the beginning, they keep messaging you,
Yeah.
and then you just say, great question. Please send this to support it better at beach. They'll answer it
Okay.
quicker. And it works. And then
Absolutely.
because you're not answering every question, or even if you still are,
Right.
if you start to train some employee to answer those, you say, okay,
Right.
hey, I'm going to answer emails. I'm going to screen share with you, and I'm going to talk out loud as I'm answering these emails so that you get to know my thought process.
I love that idea.
Yeah.
That's smart.
It's worked nicely. All of the screen shares
Okay.
and just talking out loud has been a big thing for us.
I'll definitely have to implement that.
Yeah, at least just separate.
Yeah.
Just separate the text messages that come in.
I know. I just was like, maybe I should just get another phone specifically for work. And oh man.
Yeah. Just don't be shy about saying like, hey, please send this to blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you tell somebody that you're going to meet them online, you're charging an extremely reasonable fee for your sessions are an hour.
So when they're in-person sessions are an hour,
okay,
and that's 85. But on their online program, their program typically takes them about 90 minutes to do, but I'm not overseeing them.
Okay.
So we're doing full feedback. They're getting through the to-do list. They're supposed to video certain things and send them to me. I critique them. And that's just done via phone. And then they're supposed to have feedback in their sheets. What worked, what didn't work, what was hard, what they liked, what was, productive. And so that's how I usually form with the next week, but it's based on their goals.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah.
Cool. Do you have a separate email for where they send your, the feedback in the videos, and how do they share those videos with you?
So they do share them through text message.
Okay.
Yeah. So eventually, I'm hoping to get something like a platform with something more sophisticated where they can upload their videos, like True Coach. That's the next step. I've just always been so nervous because I'm like, do I make an income enough to support this? But
we use Facebook groups.
Okay.
Private Facebook group, upload it. Nobody needs any memory taken. And since it's private, no one else outside that group sees what they're doing. And you can make as many Facebook groups as you want. So if you want, you can have like the Lindsay and Mark Facebook group, the Lindsay and Joanne Facebook group. Or you can just say, this is the students. And what happened for us when we create a Facebook group for everybody to upload, and I use the comment section of their video to critique, I don't need a separate email, don't need a separate text message.
Okay.
All of the other people that we're coaching, they watch that video, they probably assume in their mind what's wrong. And then they see our feedback and like, oh man, this was brilliant seeing you teach her, because that's how I feel sometimes. And that I've never heard that feedback. And so now all of a sudden you've got this platform and you're coaching everyone at the same time. Like each person is getting more coaching because they're seeing you coach somebody else.
Absolutely.
And it's super easy and it stays there forever. The only problem is if you make Facebook angry or they shadow ban you or whatever. But that's worked really well for us. And again, it's a great like communication board. And then at some point, if you want, you get a virtual assistant to say, hey, go ahead and make like a document out of all the feedback that I've given. Just put them all into one Google Doc. Like every time you see me comment, you go ahead and you write this down.
I'm gonna implement that.
Tell me how it goes.
Facebook, I will. Facebook's been, I'm getting more familiar with Instagram, but I didn't get Facebook until 2016.
Nice.
Like I was like, no, like everyone's losing their lives to this thing. So I definitely don't know as much on Facebook as I do on Instagram, but that's definitely an easier, and less storage taken up on my phone.
Oh yeah. And it's there forever. You could always download it off of the Facebook group. If like you need to work with it outside of it. It was a really nice shift for us. I don't love that I don't own that, but it was so difficult for me to get people to build a community off of Facebook. And then once we started a big public group, man, everybody communicates on that, and it's so easy. They're there anyway. They get the notifications, and they're already on Facebook. So it was nice for us. Yeah,
definitely gonna take that and use that.
Yeah. And if you find any other solutions, definitely let me know.
Definitely let you know.
What are you making right now from your online, and how do you market it?
This is the crazy thing. I barely do any marketing. I mean, I don't have a marketing strategy. Usually businesses are the opposite, but like in the last year or so, like it's just been coming to me.
Okay.
That is so crazy to say, but I've never, because I'm such a one-person show, it's like if it came to me, I would take it. But do I have the energy to take on like an influx of 10 more athletes? Like definitely not.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like always stuck between this, like you need to make a more online subscription, more broad-based, you can reach a more bigger population. But do I have time to do more one-on-one coaching right now? I definitely don't. So I'm not going to advertise for it.
Okay.
When I do my clinics, and those are 8-week clinics, I definitely advertise the hell out of that, but only through Instagram.
Okay.
The gym community in Memphis is pretty tight, I would say. So, if I attach other gyms and tag them, then they're pretty good at putting it out. I have a lot of people.
Awesome.
Yeah. I have a lot of, athletes that come from different gyms to do, I don't want to be the only, I said to James, I don't want to be the only CrossFit gym. Like everyone goes to different CrossFit gyms for different reasons, whether it's price, whether it's, demographic or location. But I want to know that if I could go to another gym and just drop in and there not be any bad blood, like I want that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's really good, that's like self-marketing. And then any local comps, I go and judge.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. To get
for CrossFit.
Yeah.
And that helps you with your gymnastic programming?
Yeah, because I'm known as the gymnastics girl. Gotcha. And so I get to meet more people, especially if it's out in, if this is Memphis and it's the competitions in Arlington. I mean, that's 40 minutes away. It might as well be Europe. But then you're meeting face to face. You're like, oh yeah, I follow you. And then it just prompts them to make a decision about it. They've just competed. They just realized, wow, like my muscle ups are really crap. Like I really do need you. That's the best time to like offer things is, right before the open, right after the open, when people have like maybe not done so well, they didn't prepare enough, things like that. So it just allows me to shake hands with more people. So you don't use marketing essentially, but your version of marketing is putting yourself where your potential customers and friends and like fellow competitors, where they are. And even if you're not competing, you say, well, I'm going to be a judge. I'm going to hang around and just watch people and talk to them, maybe even offer them like free advice, like as they're going or after, like, I saw something, like you give them that one piece of tip. Absolutely.
And then they develop that relationship and maybe they want more. That's your free sampling that you get to do.
Yeah, exactly. We were just at me and Holly, one of my part-time coaches, we went there as like representing LP. Mm-hmm. And, I actually really like judging. I feel pretty confident in movement standards, just competing locally as well. But yeah, it's like, you want to judge who's going to like make an experience better. So I like being that person, and then they get to know my personality, which is another reason why they're going to come to me for business.
Absolutely. Yeah. Once people get to know you, once they get over that border of just like, they feel like they can talk to you.
Right.
And the communication is open.
Yes.
And before that, I was just, like when I was single, I was used to be like, you know what, even if I say something stupid to this girl at a bar, if she hates me afterwards, at least she knows I exist.
That's true. Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm like, I've at least gotten over the first hump. Now that she knows I exist and she hates me, that's actually better than her not knowing anything of my existence. And
that's very true.
So then I can work on turning that around. But at least, I could talk to her while she's insulting me and telling me that I'm a jerk. Like
100%.
Like, well, but I'm actually not.
Yeah, there's room to change here.
But back to like business, it's when people know you exist and they can talk to you. I mean, you've done a great job marketing yourself without having to pay for marketing. You're just putting
Yeah.
yourself in the place where your people are. It's incredible.
Thanks. And James has a really big following too. Just, competing in Tennessee and on the, you know, elite competition field, that through Deep River, everybody knows him. And then he reposts everything I repost. So
Right.
we're double like marketing for each other.
That's nice.
Because the more people that come to Deep River filter through my business and vice versa. The more people who come from for LP, the next question is like, hey, this gym is really cool. How much is a membership? And, I do my whole spiel. And, we've gotten a lot of members that way. And it's not poaching by any means, but like, hey, you didn't know what we're about. You happen to come here for one thing and maybe you stayed for another. I don't know.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's upsell, that's cross sell.
Yes.
Yeah, they come for a volleyball lesson, but then you put a cool shirt and a nice hat in front of them.
Yeah, exactly.
And then there's an extra, sometimes $4, sometimes $10, but they're already there. So
absolutely. Yeah.
So. Okay. So you're running these seminars. Now you market the seminars through Instagram, and you've got great relationships with the gyms around you. So you go and you announce to them, hey, I'm running this. Could you post this for me? And because you've kept a nice open relationship and you probably repost a little bit for them,
absolutely,
then they're willing to help you. So instead of that cutthroat kind of mentality, you've developed a nice little web of influence, and they're helping you and you're helping them. So how many people would be in a seminar, and how do you work out? You said there was a 15% cut for the gym. What made you decide on that number? I feel like I have frozen in my life for days and days just trying to figure out what I'm going to give the person who's hosting and how much is fair and how much. But then you realize it's whatever you make up. You just put a number in front of their face and say, do you like it?
That's exactly what I did.
Okay.
Really, my first actual seminar at a different gym that was like a full day, made $1,500 that day. It's the biggest paycheck I ever made in one day. And they reached, and I don't go out to these gyms and be like, hey, would you like to host them? They actually contact me. Oh. Which is, yeah, absolutely. Is through Instagram, or one of their athletes sees them and they talk to their coaches and they're like, hey, like this person does this, and then the owner will reach out to me. The only time I've kind of gone out of my way is my old coach opened a gym in Fort Worth. So I was like, hey, I'm going to come down. We might as well do this, or, you know what I mean? They're so open because we're friends.
Yeah.
But no, about the last 9 or so I've had, it's because they reached out to me. Yeah.
How awesome is that?
So I'll usually say if there's less than 3 or 4 people in an hour and a half block, say from 12 to 1:30, we're learning about toes to bar and kipping pull-ups. It's $35 a person. If there's less than 3 people, I'm just not going to run it. You know what I mean? Because I do have a cap because, I want them to have the experience as well. And the lesser people, the more we're getting towards a private. You know what I mean? But then accumulate all the sales from that day, and then they collect the money and they take their 15 and then they pay me. So I have no transfer of money.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Does that ever make you nervous?
No, because they're not going anywhere. Maybe it's me being naive. A reputation can be ruined like that. And if the gym's willing to ruin their reputation like that, then that's on them.
Yeah.
That would be way more detrimental than me not getting $500. So
you announce that to the whole community.
100%.
I think there's a big problem that people don't announce when they get wronged. Right. And don't announce the criminal. And that's a big problem. And they should be hammered for doing bad business, and people should know about that.
100%.
Yeah.
I'd like to think I have a working relationship with people, and that they have a gym to serve the community. If someone wronged me like that, I haven't stumbled across it yet, but I would be diligent and wronging that right,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So you've got a lot of moving parts.
Yes.
You are managing kind of for free, but also with a great relationship. And you're coaching CrossFit to adults. You are giving private lessons for kind of gymnastics moves, I imagine, for CrossFit and for gymnastics, and it just determines like which side they have.
Right.
You're giving classes to young kids.
Yep.
Through LP Gymnastics. You're giving
CrossFit kids.
Okay, CrossFit. Yep. Okay. Mm-hmm. Yep. You're also giving private video analysis lessons and programming online, and you're running seminars, and you're a judge for competitions.
Yeah.
Where does the Lindsay time come in?
8 to 10 at night, maybe. Yeah, the schedule it's always changed a little bit. I used to be the person that was like, I'm going to coach the 5:45 a.m.s and then coach all the way till 1. And then in the small amounts of time, I would get my online work done but now it's more shifted towards like, I'm always going to be at the gym from 3:30 to 7:30. And then I'll try and fit my training in before that. But it's likely like if I wake up, I'm not going to go to the gym and then come home and then go back to the gym.
Okay.
It's definitely got to piggyback. But as far as like, how do I take care of myself? I would like to say Xanax, but I don't really get days off, but I see it as if I were working 9 to 6 at a corporate job Monday through Friday, that would be a lot more shittier than this. You know what I mean? Like, I'm passionate about it. I like it. There are times when I feel like, gosh, I don't want to do this, but for the most part, like I feel like I get to do this.
But it's in your sport. It's in your world. So it's the stuff that you already love. And now you're surrounded by it. And it's just like kind of the hope is that you just like it does become your responsibility, but you hope that it doesn't end up dragging your sport down with like what work life is associated with, that I have to grind, I have to do this. And then like, does it start ruining your sport? I'll be honest, like with volleyball, it's at some point I go, enough volleyball.
Absolutely.
Like it's got to stop. And I've gotten to reinvigorate, I guess, my passion and my competitive edge by taking my time off of the court and stopping like hitting at people on court. Now I have that energy to compete again. But I would go into tournaments, legitimate professional tournaments, the top 16 teams in the country, and top like 4 teams in the world come from the USA, 4 of the top 10 teams in the world. And I would sit there running my business, and it would be tournament day, and I go, oh, finally a day to relax.
When you have to be in a tournament.
When you are like competing for a bunch of money and trying to like battle it out. So that was the wrong place. And I realized like, okay, I need to stop coaching in person so much. I need to be more of an owner and start encouraging the others so that I can have my playing passion back.
Yeah. Right before COVID hit, COVID hit here in March, and in August, I was supposed to compete in Canada for Can East, which is, a really big competition in Canada in CrossFit, and training all the way up into that. And then they finally canceled it a month before it happened. But, my CrossFit career was super competitive up until then. And then quarantine, I spent the entire time we were down rebuilding some of my programs.
Yes.
Yeah. Like my boyfriend went crazy, but I was like, I couldn't do this. Like if the world shut down, I would love being on my computer all day, just like with no pressure to be anywhere, but just create. That's like a perfect world
glass
for me.
Of Fireball at 2 p.m. just to get the creative juices flowing.
100%, because I feel most creative at night, but I'm also like, you shouldn't be working right now. You just work the entire day. So that's like a hard balance. But the first thing when the business really started to pick up, it was my training that went downhill.
Okay.
Just the competitive drive, like even like at my capacity just went down. Like I couldn't do as much volume anymore. I wasn't pushing myself as hard. And I had to, look myself in the mirror and be like, hey, maybe you're just not meant to, this is like where you're changing. Like maybe you're just not meant to be a competitive athlete right now. Like maybe you're just meant to, train competitive athletes. And so, because whenever I go to competitions, I leave being like, God, like, do I wish that was me? Do I miss that? And sometimes I do. And then I'm like, well, you don't have, it's like a nutrition. I coach, this is crazy, but we have a line of nutrition through Deep River too. And I coach that too.
Oh my goodness.
But it's like when someone's about to compete, the last thing to do is a cut.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like you need to be at maintenance. We need to fully support your body. Like food is fuel. And so right now when I'm really stressed, like, is it the best time to compete? And so I had to, force myself to take a step back from that. And that was really hard too, because it was like gymnastics and then cheerleading. And now I'm a CrossFit competitor.
Yeah.
And you're not even that anymore. But over time, now that I have 2 to 3 part-time employees under me, they do contract work too. So
nice.
That's softened the load a little bit. And, I just work at being like, you just can't do everything. You just can't do everything. And I get a vacation for 2 weeks tomorrow. So.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
That's nice.
So, yeah.
So, so let's just dive. I know you got to go. So just a couple more minutes, but knowing that you're an athlete, knowing that you're kind of slowing that down, it sounds like you're in a conscious mode of, all right, maybe I'm slowing the competitive down. Are you driving as much joy from the business building? Does it hold your interest and your attention the same way that competing did? And which is tougher emotionally, being a competitor or being a business owner?
I definitely have the same passion, because I've started to realize, like, I really want to work with elite CrossFitters. Like I really, there's been a lot of teen athletes that have come up and now are in the elite CrossFit world, where they won the teens CrossFit games. And now they're 17-year-olds performing with 30-year-olds that are kicking butt. Like I really want to develop athletes like that. And I love the competitive side of it. I just don't want to be a generic class operator. I want to have like an athlete that we committed to a year cycle. We have goals, like we want to surpass local competitions. Like that's definitely where my drive is right now.
Cool.
Because like you said, I can't do volleyball every day. I can't run the same seminars week after week. Like that alone will make me go crazy, right? So I need to have some diversion somewhere. And I like still doing that, but I also like want to know that I'm investing in athletes, like coaches invested in me. That's definitely my new passion project. But I don't know. I'm always going to say sports. Sports was more emotionally savage.
Savage is a great word.
Yeah. Learning how to perform, learning how to stay cool, calm, and collected. I don't think I ever questioned it growing up, but I look back being like, wow, like how the hell did you survive that?
It seems to me like business can be easier than sports, because at least for me, knowing that no matter what, if I keep driving at this,
right,
I will eventually succeed. In sports, sometimes like you can work harder, you can have this, and you can have a big loss. You can still have big losses in business. Like you can flop, but if you keep working for free, the same way that you would train for free to try to get a competition, that will grow into wins.
Absolutely.
There's a little bit of a parallel, but if you keep working on your business, there is no doubt that you will eventually bring in money. It's the people that quit, that stop, that give up, or that never start in any way, that it becomes like impossible. But if you say every single day, like, hey, this is how you do this. Also, I sell a better version of this. Boom.
I've never, for some reason, I've always landed on my feet when it comes to work. Even at times when I'm unsure, I'm, making a move to a different state or a country, like I've always just landed on my feet somehow. But I just know that if there's not a way to make money in this way, there's a way to make money in that way. But with sports, like, I mean, the dream was the Olympics growing up, when that seems so far away, then the dream is like getting a full ride scholarship. And that has to be the States because you don't get full ride scholarships in Canada.
Okay.
And so also elite gymnastics has come a long way. Your wife would know. How we were coached back in the day versus how you're coached now is very different. Never was there like sexual abuse, but there was definitely physical abuse, like not being punched or something like that, but emotional abuse, pinching, like, I mean,
some little extra pudge sticks out of a leotard.
Right.
And yeah,
100%.
she went through that. Yep.
You drop the wrong arm in your shoot over, like it's this arm, and and training with different coaches from different
gymnastics
philosophies.
makes you clothes conscious too, because you need all that stickum on your butt to make sure that there's no wedgie. So like even when she dresses like to the nines, like everything has to be flawless.
Yeah, finesse.
when she dresses, and it's just like, wow, I wonder if that was instilled in gymnastics too, because you can't have a wedgie, you can't have a hair out of place. And it's like
100%.
You get deducted for that. What?
Yeah, like you are there to perform. But not only that, but like your character, you were always just being tested.
Yeah.
Like we didn't come from love. I was telling my friend the other day that you could get treated like crap and you would do one good thing and they would kiss me on the forehead and it would erase everything bad that they ever did. You know what I mean? Like there was such a
not a great life lesson to learn.
Right. But this is the crazy part though. I wouldn't change it for the world. Like it made me into a very disciplined person, like respect for, professionals or, what it's like for people to dedicate their entire lives towards athletes like that, who anyone outside world of athletes doesn't realize like what that's like. So it's crazy. Like I'm neurotic in some ways because of the way I grew up, but I wouldn't change it.
Yeah. And it teaches you to go through this shit.
Yeah.
To find the pot of gold, right? Like, yes, it's going to be tough. Yeah. It's going to feel like nobody believes in you. Like nobody's with you. It's going to feel like everybody thinks you're a clown just for trying this.
Right.
But then there is that, there is the chance to succeed after days, weeks, months of, you performing like trash. And it's no different starting that business than it is going through those swings that you do in sport, because there will be crap. And if you just keep going, eventually there's that little nugget.
Exactly. Yeah.
And it's nice to appreciate that nuggets. It's funny that you brought it, like just a kiss on the forehead. Like you remember that specific win and what it felt like to get that. We just had a 3 days ago, we had a record sales day. And like I came upstairs to my wife, I was like, guess what?
Yeah.
Like most we've ever sold in a single day. And she's like, babe, let's open some wine. She says 100%. That every night, but like it's a good time.
Congrats. To yeah, absolutely. I mean, those are the things it's the small things now. I'm not chasing, provincial championships, or I'm not chasing things like that. I'm chasing the small stuff now.
So I've got one more question for you.
Sure.
What do you think? Which one of your programs gives you the most dollars per minute?
It would definitely be my 8-week clinics. So those clinics are every Sunday for 8-week blocks, and we run them 4 times a year. There's a level 1, level 2, level 3. They're $349 a person. And that's 1 day, hour in a week together. And they get 2 days of accessory work. So, and there's about 10 to 13 per hour that come on average who sign up for that.
Oh, is that online?
No, this is in person. But
it's an in-person clinic. Okay.
$349,
clinic, 6 weeks.
8 weeks.
8 weeks. Sorry.
Yep. So typically it's 8 hours of in person. So times 3 because there's 3 levels. But I'm there. It's Sunday all back to back. but
Okay.
that's about 30 people at $349.
Great.
That's probably like when I run those are big sellers. Huge results. Like we just finished one on Sunday, like the amount of people who got ring muscle ups and bar muscle ups and strict pull-ups and, you know, these things that they never thought they would be able to do. Like that is like, that's one of the biggest part of my businesses.
Cool. Do you think you should double down on programs like that? Or do you think you should continue to expand new programs that haven't developed yet?
I'm always going to keep the 8-week clinic just because it has been so successful. But the nice thing would be to offer that 8-week clinic to people who don't live in Memphis.
Like online.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So, you know, if I had all the money in the world, I think I would hire someone for social media to produce content for me. Like I'll do the content if you could just edit it and get it up and running. I feel like I'd be able to do that much, you know, easier, but right now that it seems like a Mount Everest.
Does that stop you from even starting to post about that?
Absolutely.
So you'd rather do nothing than post ugly?
Which is crazy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I know, because
as an athlete, like, and as a coach.
Yeah, because I'm all about
hang cleans are going to look like trash for the next 3 months, but you have to start right now. And I'll show you like one good thing you can do and lock it in.
100%.
You know?
Yeah, I need to, you know, I have so much plans for 2022 and, you know, I'm fortunate that we do have like a videographer that works under our gym. Like,
oh, wow. Great.
So I have a person that I can, you know, employ to do that. It's just, you know, it's that making that next jump, you know, to like level up with the business. But that is my plan. And you mentioned your subscription online. Like I would love to do an online subscription.
Cool.
The one roadblock I always get to is it's already been done. Why are you recreating the wheel? But
oh girl, but people
I know
come to you
I
to
know
learn gymnastics and CrossFit, right? Specifically, they come to you. It's not whether it's been done before.
I know I need to
who people choose as their leader, as their teacher, as their business, right? You can buy a lamp from anyone. Does that stop people from making a lamp store? No, they just say, I'm going to market better. I'm going to be in this corner. I'm going to have a nicer layout in my place. I'm going to have a better setup. And then when somebody walks in your door, you're going to make them your friend. And it seems like you're awesome at making friends, at making people feel comfortable. So do it. Do it.
Okay. Yeah. This conversation like seals the deal. Yeah. Definitely. I will reach out to you as soon as I do that to say thank you for pushing me.
You know, I would just say start with an ugly post. You know, just go on a story or like film recording. Say, hey, I'm thinking about doing this. Whatever, online 8-week program that teaches you how to handstand, teaches you how to kip, do some kip pull-ups or whatever you want to teach, and just say, message me if you're interested, and then post that same video like every 3 days. And if you get one person to say I'm interested,
then do it.
Boom, there's your interest. You know, you've got it. 100%. And I think a lot of people hate driving to wherever they have to drive. So if they could do some type of program from home, especially a lot of the world right now is really paranoid to be outside or touching things. I think just try and if you got the social media following and your boss and friend has an even bigger one, there you go. 100%. And then the only other thing that I would say about starting that is don't let ugliness stop you from starting. Just literally Zoom meeting with them and say, here's what we're going to do today, guys. And at the end, tell me if that sucked or tell me if you loved it. And here's what I make it specific when I give my reviews. I say, what was the best part for you? What was the worst part? Instead of how was the experience? You know, because they'll always be kind of complimentary and vague. And that helps. And you'll be, I think you'll be pretty impressed with what you can do just with a post and communicating with people online.
So I'm definitely going to do that. Thank you.
Well, I'll be waiting. You have until Saturday morning.
Thanks. Well, I'm on vacation tomorrow, so
You better get it in.
Yeah. Thanks for this opportunity. This was awesome.
Oh man, it was so great talking to you.
Yeah.
I think we have really, really similar business models where we're doing classes, private lessons online, and the seminars. And
Totally.
it would be cool to see you run seminars and camps where people fly in.
That'd be so cool.
Just to learn from you. And we'll see. Hopefully, some people who listen to this, they want to join you. So, where can people find you? What websites? What social media should we check out?
Yeah, sure. So you can find me on Instagram at lindsayp.gymnastics.
Okay.
And then my website is lpgymnastics.com.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm definitely going to be following you and seeing, and I can't wait to see some of those new posts and see just keep crushing it. Thank you so much for the conversation and for talking.
Thank you.
And I hope we get to talk some more.
Definitely. Thank you. I hope you have a great day.
All right. You too. And enjoy your vacation.
Thank you. See ya.
Bye, Lindsay.